I'm really excited to do this with you.
Me too. Been thinking about doing it for a while.
Yeah. Okay, so I I've only done this one other time, and so you're really basically my first for WolfLab.
Feels very natural.
Good. Um, yeah, I mean, it's not like we've never talked before,
True.
and I wanna dig into especially the things that are important to us with WolfLab. So I really want to know about um, you know, womanhood, art, your theologies, your worldviews, how your womanhood and your art come into play. I want to know about your spiritual practices. I'm just setting you up right now for the conversation.
Yeah. I do feel like all of the things you're naming are so central to the values of Wolf Lab and central to my life also. So no wonder I'm dedicated to lab.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I have a little wine.
Me too. Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
The white wine girls.
Yes. Okay, so let me see about that. Um, okay, well, then let's start with I don't know, Wolf Lab. Like what maybe how did we get here? You might be the right person to start this whole artist profile journey with because of this, connection that we have too.
Yeah, it's a long running one, eh? Like when we talk about like my relationship with you and my relationship with lab, you and I had already started getting close for a while before I started going to lab, but it was the collab before. So
Mm-hmm.
it was the boys and girls, and you were running that circle. And I always found it like super cool. I think that like as a woman, I sort of muted some artistic parts of myself
Mm-hmm.
out of fear of judgment and fear of lack of support. And so watching you do that, I always found it very inspiring. And it was when I fell on some difficult times. I wasn't feeling so good emotionally. I decided to go to the first girl one, the Wolf Lab. And oh my God, it was so much fun. I mean, you and I always really got along great, and
Yeah.
we had already bonded before that. But I got to meet like so many cool people, I think, that were just there with the same objectives as me.
Yeah, it's been an interesting evolution for me because I didn't want it to be just women. I felt like it was limiting to me.
Yeah.
And I had a good time when it was a co-ed one, but the people that just kept coming back were the women or a gender fluid person. And what I've realized is that that container of safety and trust and shared experience, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that that's the thing that I was missing.
I think like the reason more women like were showing up too is that like at least like the guys that we know already have like a place and sort of a ritual of their own and where they meet up, and they're in bands or they make music and they make art. And it was like about time that I found my tribe and my sanctuary, and I thank you for offering that to all of us.
Oh, well, it doesn't work without you. So,
Yeah, it feels like we're in a band, right? Like when I talk about like the guys we know who make music, I'm like, yeah, we're in a band.
exactly. We have our own chats, do our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, because we're talking about women and art, this is going to be launched, this interview, a little bit later, but Mother's Day is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And let's talk about moms. I want to hear about your mom and yeah, let's hear about your mom.
Oh man.
Short
Okay.
shot, as I like to call her.
Yeah, sure shot. Oh my God. She's such a brat. No, she's the best brat. Honestly, I know you're my best friend, but she's like my favorite person on the planet. She birthed me, so she deserves that title.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm quarantined with her. I've been quarantined with her since the 15th, like 2 days after it was officially declared to go into lockdown. And like, we say it all the time out loud. I'm like, you're such a good roommate. Like, we just get along so well. You know, like, obviously we have occasional hangups because it's a super stressful time, but I find it's like, even an opportunity for me to observe myself and observe and control, you know, that like controlling my anxiety a lot of times is observing it. So I have an opportunity to discuss and like ping pong back and forth. So I'm really appreciative for this time, I guess, with her. It's not ideal. You know, I'd like to spend time with her maybe on a trip in a tropical place, but this will do.
What are you learning about yourself from being in such close quarters with your mom?
Honestly, I'm learning that I'm a really good person. I'm patient. I have good intentions. Not to brag or anything, not to toot my own horn, but like, it's going really well. And I think I'm like, I'm learning how to, you know, counsel anxiety, which is something that like, I feel I really know how to do already. And it's a real exercise to, you know, keep working through that. And yeah, I'm learning a lot. It's a time that we've never experienced. I mean, not even us ourselves, but like our ancestors, to at least impart some knowledge on us, right? Like, it's been 100 years since the last pandemic.
Yeah.
Or epidemic, rather.
Yeah. You know, my mom and I have this running joke that like the older you get, the more you hear yourself. The older you get, the more you hear your mother in your words and like in your actions, and like, so I'm starting to sound like my mother when I say that. Is there anything that is coming up like that for you? Or does your mom do it? Does she say, "Oh my God, I sound like your grandmother"?
You know what? I kind of see, like, my mom is such like a little rebel, and I see myself like, she's always telling me how much she wants to go outside and go to the liquor store. I'm like, no. Like, but she just wants to go out and see what it's like. And obviously it's, you know, she listens to me, but I see that little devilish side in her, and I recognize that in me. And so it's kind of fun. Yeah, I suppose like we're both quirky kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we're both little strange girls. I like it.
And so, like, this legacy that's been passed on to you, this rebelhood, you know, what kind of legacy, I guess, do you see yourself leaving in the footsteps behind you?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because how soon will those footsteps be left, right? Like, how much of my life am I going to get to develop? Like, is this it? You know, I was thinking about that the other day. Like, if tomorrow was the last day on Earth, what is it, the legacy that I'm leaving behind?
Yeah.
And I think the greatest thing about my life is having learned to truly love myself, for no other reason that I'm human and I deserve love, to understand that. You know, despite what I do, despite what I look like, despite what I accomplish, I'm a human being worthy of love and feeling good. And I feel that in my roots. And I think that is the greatest thing that I've learned. And if I think it is a legacy that I could pass on, because I do try to instill that in other people.
You've instilled that in me.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
100%.
You've instilled that in me too.
It's a hard thing to do.
Well, it's good when you have a tribe that supports you.
Yeah. Yeah, and sees you.
WolfLab. Yeah.
What's your process like when you're so first of all, let's talk about your art.
Sure.
You're a painter, brilliant. You do one-offs that are irreplicable. If that's the right way to say it. Like they're so unique, and they have so much life inside of them.
Thank you.
And they distill a very particular moment or feeling. And it's usually some sort of landscape of a pour with a pop of a recognizable kind of abstract representation of a thing that
Yeah.
means something, and it cuts deep. So like how did that come about? Talk to me about this process, and are you moving like what kind of direction do you feel yourself taking from this?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like I'm kind of breaking, or there's a lot of evolution going on in my paintings. And in my last series that I did, it was a lot more like pop art realism. There wasn't like the
Yes.
pour or anything like that. But I do really like the pour. And that just comes from, learning how to do pours and figuring out that I had the technique down and the concept of mixing chemicals really well. And then the journey and the fun was recognizing shapes, recognizing things I could already see, and learning to manipulate the paint to maybe further form what I was looking at. And a lot of times it kind of ended up being really akin to what I was feeling. So, like the eye sees what it wants to see. I was feeling like sorrow and like in a captive place at one point, and I ended up doing a pour and seeing like a caged elephant, an eye. And I painted that, and usually like I'll do the pour and then I'll cook the top of it and I'll paint over it, and kind of let certain parts of the pour pop through.
Is there anything that you're working on right now or that you're planning or incubating? Like what's happening?
Oh my goodness. So I've been quarantined here with my mom, like, I don't even know how many weeks, honestly. I've stopped counting, but a long time. I guess nearing 2 months. And I feel like I'm on Castaway. I might have to write the days on the wall.
I know.
But it's just not the same setup here as at home. And painting is a messy endeavor. And I have a lot of respect for my mom's furniture. If you've ever been to my place, you know that everything has paint on it. So I haven't like been super motivated to paint, but I've had this idea in the back of my mind. Yeah, there's this picture of me from a trip that I took to the Middle East in 2015. And there's a lot of blue sky. And when I see something with a lot of solid color in it, I'm like, oh, that's where the pour is going to go.
Yeah.
So, that spoke to me right away. And I've been like itching to get it started. Usually at home, when I start a painting, when I do the pour, I make sure that I'm drunk just the first night.
Yeah.
Like work drunk, edit sober. Like that's I apply that to painting. But here, I just get drunk with my mom and we end up talking all night and I pass out, with all my clothes on and the lights on, and I'll get there.
I hear this, I've heard this once, and it stuck with me forever about art. It's not what, it's when. And so I when I'm getting a little bit hard on myself about not producing something or not like acting on this urge that I might have, I remind myself that it might not be the right time anyway. And that when it does come out, that's what happens. Then you see the elephant's eye and you see the,
Yeah.
like
Right now, I still want to create art, even though I'm not really in a painting mode. So I've been turning to like drawing, or more just like doodling and scribbling. I know you've seen them. I've been doing like my quarantine doodles, and they're getting like, yeah, I just want to document, because I also like journaling, but I don't want to like write all the time. It's just not how I express myself anymore. Just no words, just images. And so yeah, I've been doing that and people are really liking them. I'm getting like requests from people to be in them.
Oh,
So,
really? Well,
yeah,
that's humorous too. It's nice to see your self-deprecating humor kind of your relationship with Lucy.
Yeah, and like my relationship with my feelings during this time, like I've never felt this way before. So it's been really fun, and it's like I kind of want to take it further. I might want to involve some cool people in a project that includes that, but it's very much, just a seedling at this point. But yeah, I'm hoping to keep that going.
Do you have like now that we're like with this quarantine thing, so you've had like a few a few of your standard ways of being have been changed. A few, everything. But your rituals, have you maintained any of your spiritual practices or the things that keep you grounded and centered? Like, is there anything that you've maintained, or is there anything that you've changed that you've might carry with you? Who knows, stepping out of this, but
a lot has changed. I'm not even in my home, so I'm in like my kid bedroom. But with my kid bed and my kid sheets, it's a strange feeling. I suppose for me, giving myself permission to wake up slow, not thinking I'm nuts for setting the alarm clock an hour early just so that I can slowly decompress, because I'm not a morning person.
I always imagine you to be.
I can get the shit going like pretty early. I've had to work pretty early before, but I think that I'm most comfortable and like the least anxious and buzzing at night. I don't know, maybe I am a morning person, but either way, I just need some me time in the morning.
Yeah.
I need me time in general. I'm thankful that my mom understands that, and she's the same.
Yeah.
She doesn't my face sometimes. So, we practice constructive alone time or lazy alone time, whatever you want.
Constructive alone time.
Just making it a point to not be together.
Yeah.
For a certain amount of time a day, What
does your constructive alone time look like?
I have those tendencies in where I make lists and I'm really organized. So I do have a list of the things that I do for my constructive alone time, and they are read, play guitar, not well. I'm just relearning. I used to play years ago, but all gone. And doodling, because that's a big part of it. Just thinking, a lot of times it's like thinking about what the joke is going to say, or sometimes it just comes to me, but sometimes I got to sit there and think about it.
Yeah.
And drawing them, it's a good 15 minutes of just sitting there and getting it done. And yoga, which I'm also not good at. Well, I shouldn't say not good at, swear jar. But, that I'm learning at a nice, relaxed pace. Yeah, well, I'm when I say yoga, I'm in like the really beginning basic stages. I know like 3 moves, and Maya showed me 2 of them. So
bless Maya. Can we talk about Maya?
She is amazing.
Yeah.
She's been working so hard.
Yeah. What has Maya taught you?
Oh my God. Maya has taught me a lot of things that I almost can't put words to. There's a whole unique vibe to her person.
Yeah.
In where I feel she's very like reflective and introspective, but a wild being at the same time. And she's full of integrity, and she's very smart.
Yeah.
She's got like a very deep well inside of her. Yeah. And I guess I admire that. So I try to akin it once in a while. Maybe when she's around, I'm like, oh, but it makes me a better person. I mean, I am attracted to those qualities. So there's something very profound and thoughtful about Maya.
She, her humility, I think, speaks to me. I think she surprises herself sometimes, or she knows that this is the thing with women artists that I've been noticing in the WolfLab, is that we know that we're good, but it's really hard to say it. It's really hard to say it.
I think that's why the lab is good, and where we say it to each other.
We do.
And that's
we practice it. Like
we really pump each other up.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're allowed to kind of toot our own horn too,
Yeah, we're encouraged to.
Yeah.
And when we sit around and talk about, what we've accomplished and our brag, it's nice. It's and I see it in some of the members of WolfLab who maybe didn't show their artwork so much before, and now, are daring to put it out a little bit more in the public on social media, etc. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm so grateful to have more female art to look at, especially in like such close local, like I love Montreal art. I have at my house. Like I have a wall dedicated to Montreal art. So getting more chick art in the local sphere is pretty dope.
You've had some really beautiful feminist art. Like you've created some beautiful pieces that speak to me and with your like hardcore feminism. And I want to know more about that. What is that inside of you? Where's that coming from? Where's that? I don't know.
I have always
Question. I just want to know about this. It took me a long time to realize that I was a feminist, or to be okay, to reckon with that side of me. But you seem to have like been on it.
I've kind of always embraced that side of myself ever since I was a kid. I remember learning about like racism or the Holocaust when I was young, and the concept of injustice made my skin boil. And it was something that I was really like outraged that this would have happened, you know, and, you know, identifying like as a woman, you know, when you're a kid, you learn about like the Salem witch trials, and they don't talk about sexism too much in school, at least in my years when I was a kid. It's not a subject that we talk about a whole lot. We don't talk about rape. We don't talk about sexual assault, which is the main issues that women have. So, you know, I went to an all-girls school. I went to Villa Maria only for a few. Yeah, I went for a few years, but then I had to leave. And I went to RHS after that. But yeah, I kind of like was around a lot of women who had information about feminism. And I remember starting to really speak up about it when I was maybe in Sec 1 and when I was like 13 years old. And then I joined in school Amnesty International, and where we would write letters to ambassadors of various countries, pleading a lot of times for women's rights. Yeah. And so I got really interested in the subject. I've always identified as a feminist since I was a kid. So when I met you, and, you know, in my eyes, you're such a feminist. I know that when we first talked about it, you didn't really believe me. But I was like, you're a feminist, girl.
So resistant to this idea for me to identify as that. I mean, I can get into that at another time, but but you're so all about justice, and you're so I think that you've got important views about equality that you need to share, and that you are sharing in a really big way. Yeah. And and because of those things that you were sharing in a big way, that inspired me so much to create. The first feminist painting I did was of you, and it's my favorite one. So yeah, I just like heard your message, and it resonated in me, and it spoke to me. It spoke to things I already truly believed in, but articulated in a way that I don't think I could, because we're different, you know, we've lived different things. But to see it and to document it in my own way, very cool. Yeah, your latest piece, this female dichotomy, it triggered something inside of me. Like I'm totally inspired to expand Parlor more because of this piece. I've got some ideas brewing. I won't get into that, but what brought that one on? But I guess, yeah, the idea, the juxtaposition of the symbols of this woman in latex, she's sexy. This is something that you put on for somebody else. I mean, I'm saying this in a general sense. Yeah. And the mask also, it's a symbolism of submission, of sexuality. And I really wanted, I struggled whether or not to put eyes, like the mask. I wanted to have a mask maybe that zipped all the way up. The idea was to have the unzipping of the mask. But then I thought about the importance of depicting that there's a human being inside there. Yeah.
And then the religious halo, the saint, the Madonna, the way we expect women to carry ourselves, to be kind, to be righteous all of the time, the slut and the saint, right? The
Yeah.
two worlds that are demanded of women constantly. And when you see it, I think in the canvas, for me, the goal was for it to be striking and blasphemous. I have some people say, you know, like, no one said it yet, but we've talked about, is this image offensive or not? And if
Right.
you do think it's offensive, perhaps what is really offensive is the fact that we ask these things of women, that this is the image of what we are asking of the gentler sex.
The gentler sex. And you know, when I see it, I see the inherent divinity within.
Yeah. There's a lot of,
I'm all about crowns. So
yeah. There's definitely like room for, I think, you know, we say that things are double-edged swords. How many sides does feminism have? How many ways can you look, you know, because it's such a deeply rooted social sphere. There's 1,000 ways to look at an image about feminism and dissect it. And
as soon as I accepted that I am a deeply, like, my life has been actually deeply committed to feminism and art as my form of feminist activism. I mean, making my vagina t-shirts when I was like, how old was I, 20 or something?
love them.
But that feminism meets you where you're at. So we're, whatever struggles, whatever intersections, whatever identity that we're struggling with or growing through, or, you know, celebrating, that's how we see feminism. It's kind of like more of it's like a technology. It's a mirror for us.
Yeah, and it's a way of life, you know, like
Yeah.
you're so right in that, you know, whatever issue you're having, it's going to parallel that, you know, it's a whole way of life.
Yeah, it's not, I don't know how to say this. It's not taking sides. It's not a side. It's a reflection, because we're all so connected to the mother. You know.
I love that. It's a reflection. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, like a reflection in terms of it being a mirror, and it's a reflection, like a reflection of thought, you know, like how does this impact the world?
Yeah.
You know, when you're putting an action forward, and, you know, it's not perfect. It's a moving target.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about Selfie then. I want to hear about these feminist pieces of art that you've created. Since we're doing a profile on you as an artist, I want to hear about Selfie.
Sure.
Female dichotomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Selfie was like, Selfie was wild to do. I got asked by the Bricks Gallery to do a painting. And me being me, I was like, I'm going to do a 6-foot life-size nude in 1 week. Which was like, I don't know, maybe there was like times where I remember I called you and I was like, Amber, I bit off more than I could chew.
I remember.
But, you know, like I had it down pretty fast, like the general forms and everything. But I really gave myself to that painting. I took a week off work, or I was off already. I was on vacation. And I just would wake up like at the crack of dawn, super early, paint all day, you know, eat some hummus and go to bed, and wake up and do it again for a whole week.
Yeah.
And there was like parts where I was afraid I couldn't do it. And I think that was like, is a big part of my relationship to that painting, is the feeling that I can do it, because I really love the way it looks.
Oh, that's my favorite one too.
Yeah, it was your face. Your face took me so long, and I redid it so many times, and it just didn't look like you, and I wanted it to look like you. So, but when I nailed it, the feeling was like the whole, like, especially the nose. Your nose is so hard to nail. But when I got it, I was like, it felt like a benediction.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing journey to paint it. And there's like so many, I had like so many discussions with you, and you were cheering me on throughout all of it without even having seen it. And there's so many odes to our friendship in there, little cues.
So
And
why when they said paint anything you want, why did you go to this specific image?
oh my goodness, I was just,
we only took 3 photos.
yeah, I guess I was looking at other artists that have styles that sort of remind me of my own. I do that a lot, and I gather inspiration. And
Yeah.
I had seen a painting just on Instagram. I can't recall the artist. I'll try to find it and send it to you. With a lot of texture in the skin and in the body. It was a girl smoking a cigarette on the bed. And there was something about the girl and like being the sense of being alone. And there was something very sexy about her, and it got me thinking about the whole concept of what you were doing, taking the selfie, and what the selfie means in our modern lives, and this idea of, you know, showing a side of yourself that you have control over.
Yeah.
And what that means as well, you know. And there was just so much texture in this other painting, the texture that's really unlike mine. It was more brushstroke texture.
Mm-hmm.
But it really just, I saw you. I mean, I know you don't smoke, but I saw you like on the bed smoking a cigarette in this painting that wasn't mine. And I was like, I know what I'm going to do. And then I sort of like, you know, brought the subject up to you. And as I was talking about it, like, you know, when the words come out and you're like, oh, it's clear now. This is what I want to do. I'm like, I want to paint you. And I think I only figured it out when I said it to you, because I had all these ideas brewing. And I said, I want to paint you naked taking a selfie. And then we got together, we took some photos, got some references down, and
yeah,
I birthed the painting of you. Before I knew it, it was over.
We have this special relationship. I'm going to talk about this because people may or may not know this, but you were talking about it before I cut you off. Sorry.
You didn't cut me off.
About like we kind of plant these little love notes to each other in all of our art, and there's a little bit of a joke going on that we keep getting bigger and bigger with the note. It's like becoming more, it's kind of harder and harder to beat, not like it's a competition, but I've never had a muse like you before. What is it like to be a muse and to have a muse as an artist?
What an amazing feeling. I mean, I know you know it. But I think that the fact that we both make art, your art inspires me, the creativity, the spark in you. I mean, I think you're beautiful visually, physically. Of course, you're a muse. But there's something about the fire inside you and the fiber of your values, which is so akin to mine.
Yeah.
And your bravery and the way that you go about doing things that I guess for me, it's just undeniable. I'm so attracted to the strength in you. I suppose because those are things that I want for myself. And the more that we bounce this off each other, the more I realize I do have that in myself.
Yeah.
And I guess it feels good to know that, you know, I probably resonate those same feelings with you. Because it is undeniable that a lot of the magic and poetry that we have is has to do with, you know, strong worldviews, opinions, theologies that we share, that we express through art. When you make art with someone, it changes your relationship.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when we made, when we were touching up the Tunisian painting.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was such a good day.
So for anyone who, if they're watching this, you know, do you want to talk about the Tunisian painting?
Oh my God, it was so much fun. So like there was a time when we had lab in person where we used to like plan activities and just do them together that were art related. And I wanted to, you gave me an opportunity to lead a lab, and I kind of wanted to do a painting exercise, but that delved a little bit more into the emotional psyche, because everything that we do at lab sort of is a bit of therapy.
Yeah.
And so I looked up different painting exercises that would do that, and I found the Tunisian collaborative painting, which is a practice which was, you know, developed by a Tunisian philosopher, where people come together in silence and paint a large surface. And the idea of the practice is the silence and the communication that you can have without words. And I think the communication relies a lot on the relationship. So here I was with a group of, I think we were 8 women, and I bought a big canvas and still we were all cramped up together, but I had asked each girl to pick a name. You helped me develop this process. Pick the name out of a hat, like Secret Santa style, and whoever's name you got, like you were to tell me a quality that you appreciate in that person and the symbol that you feel represents that. And ahead of time, I drew some symbols to make it a little bit easier, because not all of us are painters. You know, I thought that if we had predetermined shapes, it might be easier to form an idea.
Yeah.
So we had all these gorgeous symbols representing the best parts of us on this canvas. And we just went at it. And man, it was a big canvas, but we were all squished together. There were girls that like were standing on the chair painting it from behind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really love that painting. Oh my God.
Me too.
Yeah, and then you and I did the last step. A lot of times in the Tunisian collaborative painting process, there's the unifying process, which is where one person goes over the whole thing, or 2 people in our case, and makes the whole thing a bit more cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did.
All I remember is smoking a joint in the window of the studio and thinking and talking about how we were living this ideal of being an artist in the city.
Yeah.
And how cool it felt. And at the end of the painting session, you were wearing this beautiful smock that you wear every time you paint.
Yeah.
Or sometimes when you paint, it's covered in paint.
Yeah, it's covered in paint.
It's really hot, like the way that like the collar is. Anyway, I was like, what did I wear? I don't know, you know.
I think you had a big T-shirt on or something. I can't remember.
When we were all done, you just went pop, 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 and open it up with these, like, I guess it was
Snap buttons, yeah.
with a snap to it, and just in your brown underwear.
It's a hot day.
I looked over and I thought, I'm the luckiest girl in the world. I can't. This is my life.
I didn't even like.
So much to be grateful for.
I didn't even think twice. We were just, you know, just like rip it open, bra and underwear. Who cares? It was a blistering day. Super hot day. Good times. That was so much fun. So much fun.
It just, I remember just having so much gratitude for this like manifestation of a life that we'd both envisioned for ourselves, and not really knowing what it was going to look like specifically, but that was like a goal. That was like a dream.
Yeah, I think that we've got like a pretty like iconic friendship, like iconic to me anyway. Sometimes like I think about the fact that like a world-renowned painter, Philippe, did like a painting of you and I together. That's how strong our friendship is. People see it. Yeah, it's a powerful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I'm very appreciative. Me too. I have a couple more questions, and then we can call it. All right, lay it on me. I want to hear about your process of manifestation and abundance, because when I think about people in my life who are really abundantly minded, you are always at the top of my list. You're someone who lives abundantly,
And there's a lot of different qualities that I could name off about that. There's a stability in you. There's a structure and a discipline inside of you that I think creates a lot of abundance. You're very appreciative of the little things. And, you know, even like your, the General Assembly, you know, watching that with your mom and just like getting really excited about the little bits of good news that we have. I think getting excited about normalcy. Also, just how giving you are with words of kindness and appreciation. It's almost to a fault where I'm like, wow, I can't keep up with how vocal you are with your
But you do.
well, maybe, but I get it. I learned from you. So when I think of abundant people, you're the top of my list.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That it makes me feel very warm inside to hear that that's how you see me. I think that it all just comes down, like being happy and being optimistic, I think comes from truly loving yourself.
Yeah.
Again, I know that's like my big horn that I toot at every parade, but I really like just being good and okay with yourself, and, you know, not making your life extra hard for no reason, gives you a lot more leg room to be kind to others, to love the little things, to be optimistic, to think that there's a better tomorrow around the corner, even if things are a bit hard. I learned this thing a while ago about, you know, the more you have this like bank of you inside you, and you put these deposits in it every time you're kind to yourself or every time someone is kind to you. You have banks with your relationship. You and I have an Audrey Amber bank, and we put deposits in it all the time. And, you know, I don't know, maybe we get into an argument one day and we take some money out of the bank, but our bank is still plentiful.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I try to put a lot of deposits in my bank. You know, when I have like bad thoughts, I have a voice inside me that I have encouraged, wasn't always easy, just to rebuttal and to, you know, like, okay, I see the bad side, what's the good side? You know, and it's an exercise. It's like doing squats. You know, it's hard at first and it gets easier and easier. And now I think the good voice is louder than the bad voice.
Yeah.
And it gives me permission to be generous, be patient, be happy, optimistic, and sunny. And also taking good care of your body, sleep, eat well, exercise a bit if you can. And because your body, if you're not meeting your basic needs, you're going to have a hard time. Like, you have to be whole in life. That's, you know, I get why people want to dedicate themselves to a lot of different things, but I think that what we really need to dedicate ourselves to is being well and being happy, and the rest will follow.
The simplicity is not easy to do, but you, to me, are magnetic. You're not operating like a magnet. You are magnetic in that sense. And so I have deep, profound respect and admiration. I learn from you every day. I'm always amazed by these creative manifestations that you make. The next, you know, you've been talking, we won't talk about it, but the way you want to paint publicly.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that. You know,
hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Yeah. And you've really become a mainstay of the WolfLab. I mean, it's there's a few of us that have stayed the whole time.
Yeah. It's really easy to be there. It's really encouraging, and it's like I think I'm a person who likes to dedicate myself to things. I think that has a lot to do with my abundance too. You know, I dedicated myself to WolfLab, and I reaped the abundance that it has provided all of us equally, you know?
That's a good point.
Yeah, you know, like if I sat on my butt and I said, I want to paint and I never do, or I want to expose my work and I never do, you take a chance, you know, and devote yourself to something.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm devoted to something that's devoted to me, and that feels great. And I think that there's no part of myself that ever is like, maybe this isn't good for you, you know, because I always feel joy and evolution in myself. Pushes me, it drives me. So, you know, those are the things you got to devote yourself to when, you know, your brain and your heart are in line and they're saying, this is good. Then go where the love is. You taught me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that it wasn't the first lab that we did as WolfLab, I think. And you said that you went home and it felt like you had
A hanger in my mouth because I was like this.
smiling in bed.
My big teeth were getting dry, you know, just from being out of my mouth the whole time.
Such a beauty. Inside, outside. Yeah. Is there anything on your heart that you wanted to say before we wrap this up?
Oh my goodness, that I'm proud of the whole WolfLab team. I gotta say, we've been touching on COVID, we've been touching on times of isolation and what that means for our evolution. And man, I think you lit a fire under all our butts. You really took this nurturing approach to all of us. And it's just rolling like a big boulder downhill. It's just unstoppable.
Yeah.
You know, even if there's days where I'm not really feeling it and I've got low energy, somebody's there waiting for me in the Zoom chat with enough energy to share.
Yeah.
And I always, you know, I think that there's an enormous amount of momentum. I'm really proud to be a part of it.
We're proud to have you.
Yeah.
The vice president.
Pretty exciting. Pretty exciting.
Okay, one last checkout question. If you were a flower today, what flower would you be?
I think I would be a rose. I think this conversation kind of made me tune into the romantic side in me, the poetic side in me. There's something longing and wistful about a rose. And yeah, I feel like a deep and delicate beauty today, having shared all of these thoughts with you.
Well,
how about you?
I
always love hearing yours.
what flower am I? You know, I really I'm feeling the lilac right now. I'm just feeling that like fragrant and temporary, you know, it's kind of a tease of spring, the lilac.
Yeah, they're in bloom right now, and so are you.
Yeah, and I like the lilac that it's actually like, you know, a bunch of little lilacs that make up one.
Just teeny tiny, just like you. But a force.
Yeah, together.
Yeah, we're better that way.
Yeah, like a beautiful bouquet. Well, thank you for being in my bouquet, you beautiful, untameable wolf.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to see what happens with this artist profile thing that we're doing.
Let's launch it to the world.
Done.
Awesome. I'm gonna go get some wine and then we're gonna keep hanging out.
Yeah, I'll stop recording.
Okay, cool.